What's up, Grace Girls? Welcome to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast, where we focus on helping Black women change their lives by discarding negative thoughts, pivoting in the right direction, and shifting their mindset through cultivating a trauma free lifestyle. I'm your host, Courtney Christten, educator, content creator, life coach, counselor, and mental health enthusiast living in Houston, Texas. I created the Allow Yourself Grace podcast because I wanted to create a space for Black women to share their thoughts, feelings, and stories that make them who they are without fear of judgment. Allow Yourself Grace provides emotional support and encouragement within the Grace Girls community for women in need of non biased opinions from women other than family and friends. Personal development, self care, career, faith are among many of the topics we will discuss on this platform. Allow Yourself Grace podcast is here to encourage Black women to live unapologetically and thrive in being authentically who they are and were designed to be, an entire vibe. No topics are off limits. We will cover it all. Now, grab a notebook, pen, sit back, and enjoy the show. What's up? What's up, Grace Girls? Welcome back to another episode. Super excited for this episode. I hope you guys all have been doing well. And yeah, your girl back in the saddle. So let's go. Make sure that you guys go and leave me a review. Okay, leave me a review on not only this episode, but also my episode from last week. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know if you would like any advice, any show notes. I'm always open. I try to respond to all of my comments. So make sure you guys are commenting and interacting with me because I would love to interact with you. If you're not already following the podcast Instagram, make sure you go and do that. It is AYG underscore allow yourself grace, and it should be popping up on the screen. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into the episode. So let's jump right in. This episode today, we are going to stay in the personal development area. And so, yeah, I hope you guys have all been putting those practices that I have talked about in the previous episodes. And I hope you guys have been thinking about the things that you are doing on a daily to constantly improve yourself. And so today, I'm going to talk about constant improvement. It's easy to develop a mindset of, I want to get better, right? We all have, every year, we talk about getting better. Every month, sometimes we talk about getting better, and we should be getting better daily. But I want to talk about how to maintain that constant improvement, the things you should be doing to constantly be working on getting better. Okay. The only person that you're in competition with is the person you look in the mirror at every single day. And so I want us to stop worrying about what somebody else is doing and just focus on our own self-improvement. So the quote that I have for you today, because I've been trying to give you a quote every episode, I want to go back to kind of what I did in the first season, which was give you quotes and give you something that you can kind of resonate and meditate on. The quote of the week is, don't demand perfection, but insist on continuous improvement. And so when we talk about constant improvement, we're not talking about perfection, ladies and gentlemen. Not talking about perfection. We're just talking about constantly putting forth effort and putting in work to get better. We're not trying to be perfect because nobody's perfect. Constant improvement is a journey rather than a destination. So it's not something that you get to and you're like, okay, I'm done. It's not like a goal that you check off your list. It's something that you're continuing to do on the daily to make yourself better. You're constantly pursuing it. That's the word I meant to use, pursuit. We're in pursuit. Okay. The first thing that I wrote down was setting clear goals. If your goals are not clear, it's going to be hard for you to know what you're working on. Okay, we have to know the goal, we have to know the end. And so I know when I was a teacher, we always planned with the end in mind, right? We started from the end and we planned backwards. It was called backwards planning because it's like we have to know where we're trying to go. So if you don't know where you're trying to go, it's going to be hard for you to constantly work at improving on and getting there and then continuing to maintain where you are, because that's what constant means, that we're not only going to achieve the goal, we're going to practice what it takes to stay where we are. Okay. Learn continuously. So we all should be lifelong learners. Um, we all should be learning constantly. We all should be pouring into ourselves constantly, whether you're reading something, you're taking a class, you're listening to podcasts. You should be constantly feeding your soul and feeding your mind. Never stop learning. The moment you stop learning, you might as well die. If you're a person who feels like, I know everything, I don't need help, I know what I'm doing, nobody can tell me anything because I know everything, you're sadly mistaken. And it's going to take a lot for you to be successful without learning from others. And what I find in the line of work that my husband and I do is that when we encounter younger people, so anybody in between the ages of 18 and I'm going to say 35, right? People in between those ages, I'm going to just say 35. I'm going to stop there. Sometimes they struggle with wanting to put in work constantly, right? They don't want to put in work constantly. They want to do a little bit of work, get instant gratification, and remain at the destination. And, unfortunately, that's not the way success works. That's not the way you maintain the success. You can't expect to do work one day and elevate the next day. I'm not saying that can't happen sometimes, but realistically, when we look at things, it takes work over time. That means you have to continue to show up. You have to continue to give it your all and not rely on other people to do the work for you. And so what I find in this generation today, it's just like you feel like you know everything. You feel like, oh, I can do it myself. And granted, I'm not knocking you. Some of you can. But you also can learn from someone else. So I think that the younger generation, sometimes they discredit the older people or people who have been where they're trying to go. And they try to say, oh, I know everything. No, you don't. You're learning every day. You're learning every day. You should constantly have an open mind, open heart to want to learn. And especially for someone who has been where you've been and they're successful. They've been where you're trying to go. And so I think we should always just keep that in our mind, that we need that hands-on experience. We need to be constantly immersing ourselves in books and in classes and connecting with experts that are in the field or in the area that you're trying to go. Seeking feedback. How can I improve? What do you think? So for me, I asked my husband, because normally he engineers my episodes. I'm like, what'd you think about the episode? How do you think I can improve? Do you think I'm getting better at looking into the camera? Am I getting more comfortable? Like, what are some things I can do to improve? And seeking feedback from people that you value their feedback, like you respect them in a sense, because they are doing something that maybe you want to do. Maybe they've been doing it longer. Maybe they can see things that you can't see. Sometimes I know for me, when I'm sitting here, I may not notice some things. But if you're looking at me, you may, oh, she's doing this. Oh, she noticed this. Like, those are the things that we have to be receptive to, and we have to seek it, because sometimes people aren't going to tell us. They may be thinking it, but they may not tell us. But if you ask them, they'll tell you. So be receptive to feedback and also seek feedback. That's going to help you get better. It's going to help you improve. Get a mentor and solicit their feedback. Even if you're working and if you aspire to move up in your company, or you would like to get a higher position one day, like, ask your boss, like, okay, what are some things you think I can improve on, like as far as leadership skills and things of that nature, because they're at the point where you're trying to go. And so don't be so closed-minded, like, oh, I got this, I can do this myself, or I'll figure it out, when all you have to do was ask, and you could have probably gotten the answer, or the feedback that you needed to help you elevate to that next level. Reflect regularly. Like in the mornings, I feel like getting up in the mornings, I'm always quiet in the morning. So it takes me a while to kind of like, but a lot of times I'm meditating on things. I'm thinking about the day. I'm thinking about the week, what I need to do. Sometimes I'm sitting with God and just listening, because if you get up around 5 a.m., 5:30, if you get up, some people get up at 4, like you can really, it's so still, it's so quiet. You can kind of like just reflect on, how can I improve? What can I do better than I did last week? How can I start the week off strong? One of the things I didn't do this week was meal prep, right? I did meal prep. So now I'm like, okay, I need to at least try to plan my meals for the week on what I'm going to make. Something that's not too time consuming, but I can still eat at home and eat healthy, right? So these are things like we have to reflect on. How can I get better? How can I not lose my momentum? Because keeping the routine, keeping up with the self-improvement and the things we're doing to develop personally, it's a lot, right? It's a lot to keep up with. And one little thing can come through and break that inconsistency. So remaining consistent, that's going to help you. That's going to help you so much in every area, just remaining consistent. And then over time, you start to see those results. Practice. Look, I got ahead of myself because that was my next one. Consistency. Just practice, 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 right? Steady, 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 steady. Perfect your craft. That's my favorite thing. Perfect your craft. If you perfect your craft, there's no such thing as being put on the spot. There's no such thing as being thrown out there, because I got this. This is what I do. I do this every day with my eyes closed. Like, this is me. This is my area. So when you get in your zone, because you've been studying, because you've been practicing, you're not nervous. You're not nervous about things that you already do. Because I got this. Like, I'm really good because I question people. That's what I do. Question you, ask you questions, diving deeper. I'm good at coming up with on the spot. Like, as we get into the conversation, I can come up with questions. When I have people on my platform, you rarely see me with questions written down. I don't really write questions. And people ask me all the time, well, what questions are you going to ask me? Can you send me the questions beforehand? Normally, I'll send them some questions on what I think I'm going to ask. But I like for the episode to kind of develop authentically, in the conversation to feel more authentic. That way we can get more authentic answers, right? Because we want to get all the tea. We want to see your reactions. We don't want something that's rehearsed, that you've been practicing in the mirror, when you come on my platform. That's not what I want. And so when I do that, it's like I'm diving into this conversation, but I had to learn that. Like, that's a skill. That's something I had to practice. If you go back to my first episode, I probably was nervous as heck. I wasn't as nervous because, as you know, like my husband and I have a podcast together that we started before we started our individual podcast. And so I was comfortable, but it's different when you're by yourself, number one. And you have to kind of develop your own style. So practice, practice, practice. And I feel like I'm getting better and better and better because I'm constantly seeking knowledge. I'm constantly practicing. And so, yeah, I'm just staying consistent. Number 6 I have on the list is step out of your comfort zone. Like for me, child, I am definitely getting out of my comfort zone of worrying about this and worrying about that. Now I'm just like, this is my shit. Excuse my French. I'm going to show up how I want to show up. Sometimes I may be proper, sometimes I may not be, but this is my platform. I'm comfortable on my platform, but I'm also constantly challenging myself. So I'm comfortable, but I'm not too comfortable, right? Because I do want to get better. But I also, too, don't want to feel like I'm trying to be like anyone but me. And so constantly developing that individuality, coming into who I am, get out of my comfort zone and really tapping into who I want to be. Growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to take on challenges. Don't be afraid to push yourself. Don't be afraid to try something new. Like if it's not working, it's just not working. Or if you want to change it, just change it. It doesn't always have to be the same. That's one of the things that we're doing on One Marriage, Two Hustlers. We're changing some things. And so we ended one season. Now we're like, okay, we need to make some changes. That's okay. Like constantly get better. When you see it, it's going to be better than it was before. And that's what I want people to see. I want people to see constant elevation, constant improvement, constant like, oh my God, you bossed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time. It's time for people to see the elevation. It's time for you to see it. Stay organized. Lord Jesus, I'm getting better at that. I am working on that in every area of my life. I'm trying to maintain a system for tracking my progress and managing my time effectively. So, I have a planner. I use my phone, calendar. I also write things down. But my organization is not keeping up with what I have to do. That's not where I struggle being organized at. I struggle being organized at like having stuff right here. Like say all my black stuff is right here. All my shirts are right here. Everything. Like that's what I struggle with is like keeping my things, my personal belongings organized, keeping my house organized, maintaining it. Like I will clean it, I will organize it, but maintaining it, and it's just like this self-improvement thing I'm talking about right now. Maintaining it, I'm sorry. Maintaining it is the hard part. Keeping up with it, right? That's the hard part. So that's a struggle area for me. Staying organized. I'm working on it. Networking. Surround yourself with supportive people. People that are going to hold you accountable. People that are going to ask you, hey, Courtney, where's that next episode? Where you been? You ain't posted nothing. Those people. People that are going to actually be immersed in what you have on. When what you have going on. When you tell them something, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to ask you about it. They're going to remind you of your goals. My sister just reminded me of one of my goals yesterday. She said, oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting on your book. I'm waiting on your book. That means like, sis, get to it. You know, so you want people that are like reminding you of what you said you were going to do and reminding you that, hey, sis, you need to get to it. Get to it. And they're able to give you valuable insights, and some may even give you some opportunities. Like, they may say, "Hey, I'm doing this. I want you to be a part of it because I know you're trying to do XYZ." Like, those are the kind of people you need around you. Those are the kind of people you want to be networking with. Also, too, and y'all know I talked about this at the beginning of the year, celebrating your milestones, celebrating those things that you are accomplishing along the way. For me, I've been in the gym consistently for the past month. I'm happy about that. I feel better. I can see the difference. I know that I'm going to get where I'm trying to go. I am taking things in moderation. I'm still having some of the things I want, but I'm also still seeing results. And so I love that for me. I love where I'm at. I love being back in my gym girl era. Like, just celebrating that. I'm happy about that. And so I wanted to share that with y'all. And recognizing my progress, recognizing that, that helps boost my morale. It gives me motivation. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you look good. Y'all know how it go. And so just getting back to a place where I feel comfortable and where I feel like, I did that. Celebrate whatever it is. Make sure you're celebrating those things. And then staying updated. Keep yourself updated on the latest technology, trends, developments. Like, I don't know how many people I talk to and they don't know, like, I'm going to throw an example out there, what Canva is. Y'all need to stay updated on everything, not just scrolling on social media. Like, kind of know what's out there. Like, AI is a wonderful tool, but if you don't know how to use it properly, it can be to your detriment. It can be used to your detriment. So that's when I say, like, make sure you know the latest things that are out there. Like, know what's going on. No, like, now my husband's like, dang, you notice now. I'm like, I can notice, like, when someone's sound is off on their podcast, when it doesn't sound right, when their video is blurry, when it doesn't look right, the editing is trash. Like, I can depict those things because now my husband edits all the time. I can see it. Like, I know how to kind of look at the video. I know shit about, like, when the camera doesn't look right, the lighting, all those things. I started to learn because I'm around it. I'm constantly looking at it. I'm looking at videos for ideas on what I want to kind of bring to my podcast, those things. And so you have to just be aware and conscious of what's going on around you. And if you're in a certain line of work, you also too want to stay relevant and competitive. Business is all about competition. It really is, because you're always competing against the next person. Do I believe that everybody has their people assigned to them? Yes, but business is business. It's kind of like, if you're not keeping up and staying relevant, then you're almost non-existent. And so one of my things this year is, like, I'm telling myself, a silent business doesn't make money. Everybody needs to know what you do, period. No matter where you are, what you're doing, they need to know what you do. And, you have to stay relevant. You have to stay current. Have to stay in tune with the trends. Don't be that old person that doesn't know how to work their phone. Like, stay in tune with what's going on out here, guys. Stay updated. Help others grow. Help others grow. Help teach, mentor, you know, deepen your own understanding of things so that you can help people reinforce the knowledge that you're teaching them. Like, stay up to par. Be willing to reach back and help others if they're willing to be helped. Let's be clear. We're not going to force it. Do you want help? You don't want help. Because some of y'all say you want help and you don't. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But always make sure that you're helping others. Because when you help others, you're always helping yourself in that process. Remember that all of this stuff that I'm talking about is a gradual process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that, you wake up and you're like, hey, I'm fully developed. I'm great. didn't do anything this week. No, it's something that you have to make up in your mind that I'm going to master doing these things. So I know that I'm constantly, the word of this whole episode, that I'm constantly improving. I'm getting better every single day. I'm not regressing, I'm progressing. Okay? I'm progressing. I'm moving forward. I'm moving along at a nice pace. I'm growing. I'm not trying to get it all done in 2 days. And when I do get it done, I'm trying to maintain it. So there's some things I have to do to maintain this success. There's some things I have to do to ensure that I don't lose this momentum, that I don't lose where I'm at because I'm getting too comfortable, that I'm not putting in any work anymore. So, for example, in business, people have goals. So you may get to your 100K a month and then you're like, I'm good, I'm chilling, that's all I need. And then you continue to do things that you were doing, or because you're making that money, you slack off. And when you slack off, what happens? You're going to start to see people like no longer pour into your business. They're no longer showing up. They're no longer paying you. They're no longer telling other people about you because now you don't care as much. You cared more when you were trying to get to the goal. But now that you've gotten to the goal, it's like you chilling. And now you've lost that momentum. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose that money that you worked so hard to achieve. So you have to make sure that you're constantly doing something to stay relevant, to stay up to par, to make sure that you're maintaining that income. Okay, so it's kind of like that. I can get into the best tip top shape and say, oh, I got the body I want now, I'm chilling. And what's going to happen? I'm going to gain that weight back. I'm going to start looking crazy again. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to constantly be doing something to maintain where you are. Okay? Don't ever get comfortable. Because I hate when people say, oh, well, if I was you and I made that, I'd be chilling. If I was you and I would be relaxing right now. That's the problem. You're not me because you're not willing to put in the work. You're not willing to show up. You're not willing to consistently maintain that routine of what you're doing. You got to the goal and now you like, I'm chilling. And now you done lost it all again. You got to start over. So just constantly remind yourself every day that I'm doing these things because I want to maintain where I'm at and I want to constantly get better. I don't want to ever go back or get comfortable. And sometimes we have to go back to the place where we were at our lowest to remind us that, hey, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to do that again. Ooh, no. Because it's easy to get to a certain level and forget about where you were. It's easy to do because you're not there every day anymore. You're not around it anymore. And so it's always good to go back and kind of see that. So you're like, oh, no, I can't go back there. My husband laughs at me all the time because I say that all the time whenever I go back home or I go back to some of the towns that I grew up around and in. And I'm like, back to the city I go. I got more work to do. It just gives me like an extra motivation. And so you should constantly be learning, constantly pouring into you and developing. And don't be afraid to help others and learn from other people because there's people out there that can help you maintain your success, help you grow. All right. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember to go and follow the Allow Yourself Grace podcast on Instagram at AYG _ Allow Yourself Grace. Make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like, share, and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release an episode. Also, to
please go and download the audio. I will have the link in the description so that you guys can download that. That helps me as well. Leave me reviews, leave me comments, send me love, guys. I love you, love you, love you. And I will see you in the next episode. Peace.
Well, guys, that concludes our episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. For additional information about today's episode, please click the link in the show notes below. To learn more about our Grace Girls community and other resources we have to offer, head over to www.allowyourselfgrace.com. Until next time, Grace Girls, I love you all. Be blessed and continue to strive for success.